All right. Hey, welcome back, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, Nigerians all over the world, we woke up to this news today regarding Nnamdi Kanu. He was convicted and sentenced today to life imprisonment by the Nigerian courts. I didn't even know that you can convict and sentence the same day. I didn't know that that was possible. So this story is unprecedented. It's a once in a life. I wouldn't say once in a lifetime. I would say once in a generation matter. I think the closest to this was maybe 1996, 97, during what happened with the Ken Saro-Wiwa Ogoni 4 situation in River. I think it's River State. See, those guys were convicted and executed by the Abacha regime. I think this is probably like the closest to that. I don't recall anything of this magnitude. So when I think of what happened, again, guys, we moved into this property April 5th, 2021. So that's roughly over about 4.5 years ago. That's the first time I heard of that name, Nnamdi Kanu. Didn't know about him, didn't know it existed. I never heard of him until 2021. And he's been in the media. You occasionally, I'll read some articles about him occasionally, but for the most part, it's just headlines. I'll skim through the headlines, and that's about it. That's about the most that I was willing to give the story or the news. But it seems like in the past, let's say 6 months ago, it's really been amplified, and I've been paying a lot more attention to it. Now, I don't know the full scope of the story. If you guys know, please post in the chat section. Let's have a neutral look at this matter. So, the title, do you think that justice was truly served? Do you think that the life imprisonment was justified? For those who know better than me. But before we get into it, let's go over. I want to look into some of the charges. I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of what Nnamdi Kanu was charged and convicted on. Remember, he has due process. His defense team are going to automatically appeal. So usually that's how it works. When something is a life imprisonment or a death sentence, sorry, a life imprisonment, it triggers an automatic appeal. So they still have to go through that appellate process. But if it's upheld, they may take it a step further to the Supreme Court. And if that is upheld, unfortunately, the only person then he has to do his his life sentence, and then only the sitting president can issue him a pardon. Okay, so that's just the way it goes. So some people may take to the streets, and it's okay. It's within our civil rights as Nigerians. I'm based in the United States, but I'm a Nigerian true and true, to picket and protest. But just know that if you are watching this and you want to do that, please, please, please do it lawfully. Follow the guidance and the law. I think in Nigeria, they give you areas where you can go and protest. You can do it. You can do that. But taking to the streets out of anger, burning businesses, hurting other fellow Nigerian citizens is never the solution. We are never ever going to get far in life doing that. So just keep that in mind. You can still protest peacefully if that's what you want to do, or just sit back and watch the the judicial system play itself out. So I want to read these charges. Like again, all I know that is that there were 7 counts, but I've never really looked at them until today. So let's look at the charges one at a time of what he's convicted of and sentenced to life imprisonment for. So charge number one, he was charged with terrorism financing and direct violence. That's charge number one. So the government alleges he gave instructions that led to deadly attacks on civilians and security forces. That's the first charge. The second charge, incitement of public disorder. You see, from what I've read and what I've learned so far in Nigerian media is that this was a unanimous conviction, meaning Nnamdi Kanu's defense was unable to convince the jury. All they have to do, you see, the prosecution has to convince 12. If Nigeria has a jury of 12, in the US and the United States, it's a jury of your peers. So I'm sure that this was a jury trial. Okay. It has to be. It's a capital crime. So it's the burden of proof is on the prosecution to be able to state their case, state their evidence, and all they have to do is convince all the jury members. The defense, on the other hand, only has to convince just one person, that Nnamdi Kanu cannot be guilty of any of these charges. But unfortunately, they failed to do so. So this is a unanimous conviction, guys. Capital crime is serious. Capital crime is serious. And it will be interesting to see what truly happens. And we're going to talk about the political angle of it after we cover a bit of the legal angle. So charge one, terrorism financing and direct violence. So they were able to prove, the prosecution, that not only did Nnamdi Kanu attack and kill civilians, he also attacked and killed security forces. So on that charge, on that first charge of terrorism and financing and direct violence, he was found guilty. Remember, they did not say that Nnamdi Kanu went and physically harmed people. What that first charge means is he financed it. He paid for it. He paid for the commission of the said charge. So they were able to prove that he did that. The prosecution was able to prove that. Charge number two, incitement of public disorder. So the prosecution was able to prove that Nnamdi Kanu broadcasted and instigated and encouraged unrest, which contributed to the Southeast instability. You guys remember that era of stay-at-home order, which actually impacted my business because we were heavily deep into exports at that time. I'm not saying Nnamdi Kanu was responsible. I'm just saying that the stay-at-home order impacted us in a way that you could not move merchandise on a certain day. I think it was like every Monday or so. Imagine the billions and billions of naira lost as a result of that stay-at-home order. Whether that came from Nnamdi Kanu or not, I don't know. But the government proved that he was the one that was encouraging the quote-unquote unrest, whatever that may be. So it's as if that everything that happens in the Southeast, if there's a crime, if there's instability, it was directly linked to Nnamdi Kanu. That's what charge number 2 is. They said he incited it, incitement of public disorder. So he was found guilty on that charge. Charge number 3, management of a terrorist group, IPOB. Is that the Indigenous People of Biafra? I think that's what it stands for. If I'm wrong, correct me. So they said that Nnamdi Kanu, they found him guilty of managing that group, meaning he birthed the terrorist group. So technically, for them saying that it's management of terrorism, that means the Nigerian government have created and have linked IPOB as a terrorist group. So they've designated IPOB since 2017 as a terrorist organization. So the courts of Nigeria upheld that designation, saying that IPOB is a terrorist organization birthed, led, and managed by Nnamdi Kanu. So that's charge number 3, guilty. Charge number 4, giving bomb-making instructions. I don't even think most Nigerians even know these charges. All they know that Nnamdi Kanu is in jail, but they don't know the extent of these charges. So this is charge number 4, giving bomb-making instructions. So the prosecution was able to prove through recordings. That means they got him on tape, allegedly instructing followers to learn how to make explosives. The prosecution was able to prove this through recordings of Nnamdi Kanu on tape, meaning he was under surveillance. They surveilled him for quite some time. They probably bugged his house. They probably bugged his car. They probably bugged everywhere that he went. They tapped his phone. That was how they were able to obtain these recordings of him. The prosecution was able to prove that this happened, whereas the defense was able to not prove that it wasn't Nnamdi Kanu. So the defense failed in that. So charge number 4, giving bomb-making instructions. That's a serious allegation. That's a serious charge. Guilty. Charge number 5, sit-at-home enforcement.